Rain tapped steadily against the kitchen window of a quiet suburban home. Inside, Emily stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the glowing screen of her phone. A message from her mother read, "After all the sacrifices I made for you, is this how you treat me?" Emily didn't cry. Instead, her shoulders sank under an invisible weight. She set her mug down with a sharp thud, spilling dark coffee across the white counter. There is a debt you can never repay, not because you lack money, but because the lender uses it to imprison your soul. Emily closed her eyes, but the memories only became louder. They rushed in like a flood. She remembered the day she got the dream job offer from that firm in Seattle. She had run home, heart pounding with excitement, only to find the room turn cold the moment she shared the news. Her mother didn't smile. She sighed, a long, heavy sound that seemed to suck the oxygen out of the room. "I stayed in this town for 20 years just to keep you close," she had said. "I sacrificed my youth, my dreams, my everything. And now you're just going to leave me here alone? After all I've done? If your father hadn't worked 2 jobs, do you think you'd even have a degree?" Every memory followed the same pattern. When she wanted to study art, she was reminded of the expensive tutors her father paid for. When she wanted to move out, she was told she was being ungrateful for the roof over her head. These weren't memories of love. They were entries in a ledger. Each "I did this for you" was a brick added to a wall that kept her trapped. As she stood in the kitchen, she felt it again, those invisible ropes. They weren't made of hemp or nylon, but of ought-tos and should-haves. Every time she reached for her suitcase, she felt a sharp tug, pulling her back to the past. She felt them tightening around her wrists as she stared at her passport. This is the mechanical reality of guilt tripping. When love comes with an invoice, it's no longer a relationship. It's a toxic transaction. The person holding the debt doesn't actually want you to pay them back. If you paid them back, they would lose their grip. They want you to feel guilty forever, because a guilty heart is a heart that is easy to control. Suddenly, her frantic thoughts hit a wall of silence. She looked out the window. There, on the porch next door, sat Mr. Thomas. He was a man who had seen many winters and still looked at the world with soft eyes. He was just sitting there, hands resting on his knees, watching the rain. He caught Emily's eye and gave a slow, gentle nod. His stillness was a stark contrast to the chaos in her head. It was a quiet space to breathe, right before she had to face the truth. Emily stepped outside. The wooden floorboards felt solid under her feet, a stark contrast to the sinking feeling in her chest. Mr. Thomas gestured for her to sit. He reached down and picked up a small, weathered wooden box from the table. Its lid was missing, and the wood was gray from years of sun and rain. "Emily," he spoke, his voice like the gentle rustle of dry leaves. "I've watched you grow up. I've seen you sit on this porch many times through the years. But today, I think it's time you settled your debt with me." Emily blinked, her heart skipping a beat. Not him too, she thought. "My debt?" "Yes," he said, handing her the empty box. "The sun is finally coming out. I want you to take this box out to the yard. Fill it to the very brim with sunlight. Every corner, every inch. Once it's full, bring it back and hand it to me. That will be the payment for every hour you've ever spent here." Emily stared at the hollow box in her hands. For a moment, her sadness turned into a sharp, bitter anger. Her voice trembled. "This is ridiculous. Is everyone in my life like this? Do I have to pay for the very air I breathe? You know I can't catch sunlight in a box. It's impossible. It's completely absurd. Mr. Thomas remained perfectly still. He let her anger hang in the air, unjudged. Then he smiled, a small, knowing smile. You're right, Emily. It is absurd. It is a foolish request. He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto hers. So why do you spend every waking hour trying to do the exact same thing for your mother? Emily felt as if the world had suddenly stopped moving. Listen to me, he said softly. In this world, there are gifts and there are loans. Sunlight is a gift. It is given freely so that things can grow. If I demanded you pay for it, I would be a thief of your peace. True love is a gift. It is meant to set you free, not to own you. He paused, letting the silence settle. If someone gives you a gift but uses it to hold you hostage, it was never a gift. It was a snare. Guilt is like a drop of acid. It burns through your joy until there is nothing left. But gratitude? Gratitude is like water. It flows and it heals. You can be grateful for your mother's sacrifices, Emily. You can love her for them, but you do not owe her your soul. You cannot pay for the sunlight of the past with the freedom of your future. Emily walked back into her kitchen. The silence was no longer heavy. It was peaceful. She picked up her phone with a steady hand. Her fingers didn't tremble this time. She typed a message she should have sent years ago. Mom, I am truly grateful for the sacrifices you made. I will always appreciate them, but I cannot repay that debt by giving up my own life. I love you, but I need to live for myself now. As she hit send, the clouds outside finally broke apart. The grey mist dissolved, and the golden light of the setting sun spilled through the window, bathing the room in warmth. Emily closed her eyes and took a very long, slow breath. For the first time in her adult life, the invisible ropes were gone. She was finally breathing for herself. From today's story, we learn that surviving emotional manipulation isn't about hardening your heart or stopping your love. It is about learning to love yourself enough to establish a boundary. It is the courage to say no when yes would cost you your soul. Remember, the invisible debt only has power over you as long as you accept the invoice. You are not a transaction. You are a human being. If you are currently carrying a weight that was never yours to bear, leave a white heart in the comments as a quiet promise to be kinder to yourself. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that they are allowed to be free. Stay calm and remember, you deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what you can do for others. You are worthy of unconditional love. I will see you in our next life lesson as we continue this journey toward inner peace and understanding. Until then, be gentle with your heart.